it's Ruthie Popel with the Popel Backyard Farm. I'm just sitting here with my feet kicked back, and I wanted to share with you a little bit more about my goals for 2024 for my Bible studies, and I think this would be enjoyable for you. Now, what I'm doing this year, which I said in my previous video, was I'm just reading through my Bibles and just kind of taking it easy this year because my husband has been through 5 surgeries, has had an amputation from diabetes, and I'm just going to kind of just go with the flow this year. I just think that's wisdom. And do you know you can read your entire Bible through at 2 hours and 15 minutes in a month? So at night when my husband is watching shows or doing what he's doing, I can kick back and read my Bible. So however long it takes me, but I'm just going to kind of go through my Bibles. I have a lot of Bibles. I may read through them all. I may read through a few of them from start to finish. I may just grab one, read 20 Bibles through Genesis. I'm just going to be reading through my Bibles. And it might take me 5 years to read them all. It might take me, who knows. But anyway, but that's my goal. So, and if you read 4 to 5 hours a day, you can get through in 2 weeks. But I mean, it's pretty much how I feel comfortable. So when I get a break or something, I can just pick up the Bible and just read. And it's going to be good just to get it in me, as you know, in that way. Now, another thing I'm going to be doing this year is I'm going to go through, and these goals that I have are actually going to probably last like a few years. It may not be like something that's going to happen like all this year, but it's a good place to start, and it might be a good place to start for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the entire Bible verse by verse, and I might get through Genesis this year. I might get through Genesis, I'm not sure how long, and I'll just write the verse out and then write a note. And do you know that in Bible times the king would have to write out the entire Bible? And so we're kings and priests, you know. When we get in heaven, we're going to be reigning as kings and priests. So it's a good thing that these are things that I wanted to do for a while. So I said, hey, this is a good year to start. I'm 61. I've been saved since I've been 5. Okay, so also I'm going to use my journaling Bibles. I'm just going to write all my notes in my journaling Bibles. I'm not going to have a bunch of notebooks. However, I'm going to have a journal, but like little journals, and just journals in general, and just write notes and things that are going for like my personal growth, for maybe my YouTube channel. And I don't want those notes to be written in my Bibles, because I want to give away all my Bibles after I'm done reading them, and I just don't want all my notes in my Bible of that nature. Okay, also in my journaling Bible, I'm going to put in like all my sermon notes, okay? So I've got several journaling Bibles, and they can get filled up quick when you're writing a lot. So that's pretty much a little bit of an expansion on my goals. I'm basically, like I said, reading through the Bible, going through the Bible verse by verse, going through all my Bibles. It's just going to be kind of like a relaxing year. And I just think that's the way I'm going to go. The other thing I'm going to do, as I get time, I'm going to learn my art. Now, there's 2 things that I am artsy at, so to speak. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I'm artsy at it. Is the journaling part. I want to learn more about Bible journaling and stuff, so I'm going to like do some studies on being a better artist. I also am a pretty good crocheter. And there's like, one time I felt like the Lord told me there's something to your crochet. And so I just know that different times that I can bless people with things I've made. If I go someplace and I'm crocheting, it gives me an opportunity. I could maybe make covers from my journaling Bibles, and better yet, like little purses, and put them in, put a bunch of little things in there before I give them away. I mean, it all depends on as I feel led and what I'm doing. And but that's just another thing. So I know it might sound more complicated than it is, but it's going to be flowing and easy, and it's a realistic part of life, because to just read through all the time in the Bible is good, but sometimes you're going to want to break down those scriptures. So that's going to kind of give me a nice goal and give me a little order by reading the Bible in that way, going through. Now, today, I like to share a review with you guys, too. This is my mother's favorite Bible. It's just the standard little Bible. And I'll tell you, it's a KJV, which is my favorite version. And she had a bunch of Bibles. And I was gifted her Bibles. Mama passed on November 21st of this year. She loved Jesus very much. And then so I know she's in heaven. She printed Christian literature for 30 years. She sang, she counseled, she taught Sunday school, she lived at Bible school and taught people how to do printing, and she counseled people there too. So these are my favorite kind of Bibles. My kitty's over there. See him? There's one of my pussycats at Sugar. Our chairs are face funny now. I'm just kind of, making things. We have things set up for the wheelchair. When company comes over, I can move them over. But through the day, it's like a little couch for me. But these are some of the things that my mama wrote in her Bible. And these are my favorite Bibles when somebody else writes in them. And I want to continue my mother's ministry, so to speak, with literature and helping people. Mom and I would go out, and every time we'd talk to people, waitresses or whatever, we'd be telling them about the Lord. Now, her pen name was Rose Young. Okay? So, anyway, I am going to read through this Bible, and when I'm done, I'm going to give it away. Hey, the Lord's coming back soon, right? And I got a ton of Bibles from my mom. So I think that is the most respectful thing that I can do for my mom, and I know she would agree because my mama and I are very close, is to continue, sharing the gospel. So I also, and this one I just started working on, like I said, I work through lots of Bibles. I don't limit myself and have to, I just enjoy what God has blessed me with. So I'm gluing in paper with just one of those, those glue sticks you get from Walmart. You can tape them into. Did I tape this one on? No, I glued this one in. And so you just put a thin strip of glue and stick it in the gutter. So this one I'm starting. She's got some notes in here, but she looks like Mama had like notes, like different spots. One of my, someone's favorite verse. So I'm going to work through this Bible and read the Bible, and then when I'm done, I'm going to put study notes and everything. I'm going to add it to my Bibles I'm giving away for people that are left behind. And I'm not necessarily adding them here. As soon as I finish them, I want to give them away. So I want to go through this Bible, and I'll tell you my favorite verse today, and I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before. I shared about this verse before, but it's Psalms 42. He brought me out of the miry clay. Let's go right there. And I'll talk a little bit about this scripture, too. This might be a blessing to you. He brought me up also out of the horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock and established my goings. Man, guys, I don't want to get too detailed because I am a firm believer is leave the past as the past. I don't want to live there anymore, okay? I forgive, I forget everything that's happened to me. But I am on my third marriage. My first husband beat me up, okay? All the time. It was so bad. I was married for like less than a year, and I moved back home with my family. He told me he was a Christian, and he wasn't a Christian. He just said it to get the girl. In fact, he was into some weird religion. Then my second husband, we were married 22 years. I'm not going to get into too much, but he committed adultery constantly, and he wasn't too nice to me either. That's pretty much, let's put it this way. One year for Christmas, he gave me a little necklace that said, "Hello, loser." Now, I forgive him. I forgive him from the heart. But he was very cruel to me emotionally, and even just, I don't even want to say, he just was very cruel. So anyway, well, I should say it this way, so you guys, your imagination might go wild. He was very cruel to me, and he was just, like, he wouldn't let me have, like, he'd turn off the heat and go to work, and just a lot of just nasty, mean things he did to me. And you wouldn't do those things to a dog, and I do forgive him, and I totally forgive him, and my first and my second My first husband too. And I will say, and it doesn't give anybody excuse because we all have family and stuff, but both of those guys had situations like once you got to know them in their families, I think it just kind of like the Bible talks about the sin of iniquity. Now, I don't believe personally in generational curses because the Bible says Christ became a curse for us and he redeemed us from the curse of the law being made a curse for us in Galatians 3:13, okay? But I do believe that there's what I would call the sin of iniquity, if I'm correct on my interpretation of it, is like if you grew up and your dad's a burglar, there's a good chance you might become a burglar. It's almost like those kind of things are there. And so those kind of things are there. I do forgive them, and I want to let you know that because I think the horrible thing is when people can't forgive. That doesn't mean I have to, anybody that does you wrong, you should always forgive but hate the sin. And one of the best ways to forgive people is to start to pray for them, and also to doesn't necessarily mean that they should be in your home and around your children and around your family, but you should not hold that bitterness and just kind of look at them from the outside in like, I feel sorry for them because, all they got to do is call on Jesus and that might make a change for their life. But that is my story, and so and my husband now, him and I have been married for 12 years, and I love him to death. He's very godly, and he's a good man, and people talk about divorce and things like that, and I don't know what you classify them, but I will tell you one thing that Jesus said, and you have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Well, my first one, my husband was a non-believer, and he left, okay? Because he never... I think I said, are you saved? He goes, yes, I'm saved. So I thought he was saved because I was 19. I was just dumb. And then my second husband went to church and all that, but he was committing adultery. So, I mean, scripturally, I would say that God took care of it. But I'm just saying that Jesus said he didn't ever want divorce, but because of the hardness of heart, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and too bad for you. And I'm just saying, if you ever have to go through a divorce, you have to, how do I put it? You better be in serious prayer about it. Don't just do it. And if you ever, after your divorce, you better be in serious prayer about meeting somebody new, if that's the path that God leads you on. And there's so many divorces and things in this day and age that maybe it's good that I showed you and discussed this so you can learn a little bit more about me and know why my faith is so strong. And that things can happen to anybody, but just like what Clay and I are going through right now, the Bible says that every place the sole of your foot touches, talks about this in Joshua, that you can possess. So you can say, oh man, Lord, I'm going through a hard time. Well, you can start calling out the scriptures, praying, and God can get you out of the messes, whether they're self-made, made by others, and that type of thing. Now, I have one other thing I want to share about divorce, since we're talking about this today. Once in a while, I get a phone call from a girlfriend, and this is the conversation. And I learned this actually from one of my favorite pastors, who's retired now, lives in Florida. I guess I'll say his name, Randy Chiz, who's a good man of God. But anyway, him and his wife, Marianne. But, you'll see some silly girl will call me and says, well, my husband doesn't pay attention to me, and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then I learned this from listening to this pastor. I said, well, does he go to work every day? Yeah. Is he nice to your kids? Yeah. Is he nice to you? Yeah. I said, well, give me his number. I know about 100 girls that'll take him off your hands. Because that is true. So if you have a husband, you're supposed to be nice to them. You're supposed to be good to them. And you're supposed to treat them, they are a fellow heir with you and God. And if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, you need to, this is why I really think that my husband and I have a good relationship. I don't say a whole lot of something I don't agree with. That doesn't mean I can't say anything, because believe me, I'll speak up. But sometimes I don't have to say a word. All I got to do is go in the room and pray and say, hey, Lord, this is really upsetting me. Show me how to handle this. And the Lord will tell me. He'll say, he'll just help me through that situation. But, you got to pray and you got to be in the Word. And sometimes, as I get laughing with one of my sisters, we laugh about this. A lot of times our husbands are right. So, I mean, I take pleasure in being a woman and letting my husband, I'm not like crazy or like, oh, I got to do everything he says. I mean, God gives us a brain and we have a mind, and sometimes we got to use common sense. It does, and we shouldn't be rebellious and we shouldn't do things, but like, sometimes, like if your husband says, I don't think we should do that, you need to, listen to him. But if it's something that, like, the baby has a temperature of 105 and your husband's like, well, I don't think we should take him to the doctor. I think we should just pray. Well, I think you got to use your brain, sister. Take that baby to the doctor. You got to say, you know what? I love you, but that's just crazy. And I always say to people, I don't do crazy anymore. When someone wants to do something just crazy, you can go by the word. And I always think of that girl in the Bible. My sister laughs at me when I talk about it. Abigail. Her husband was a fool. And, David came, he watched Nabal's flocks and all this stuff, and he came and asked him for help, and he's like, no, why should I help you? And so the guy came back. Basically, she knew that they were all dead, and so she's thinking, man, I ain't gonna let my whole household get killed because my husband's an idiot. So she just, took food to him and said, hey, man, I can't help it. My husband's not, just told him the situation. So I guess I share that to say, being older, being a Christian, you got to do a lot of praying. Everything has to go by the word. And even the things I said right now, if they don't line up with the word, you got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So, and you can be somebody that's very godly and be in a bad situation. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect no matter what. And you just got to keep trying to do what God would call you to do, and God will help you, and He will meet you and help you through those situations. So what did God do for me? He brought me out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay. I mean, I was sinking, and He set my feet on a rock and established my going. So even though I was going through some hard, difficult times in the past, God picked me up and moved me on. I walked through those things, and now I can turn around. I don't necessarily think you should always be digging in your past and looking for everybody that had the same problems as you are. But if somebody comes through a situation, I might have a little wisdom that I might be able to partake to them so that they don't make mistakes, and so that they can walk further. Or if they're already in those situations, say, listen, man, just go to the Word. God will help you. I always say to people, listen to the most seasoned people that are living. I remember I worked for a pastor, and he was an evangelist, and he was gone a lot. And I think, if I can remember the story right, and I think this is what happened, so don't hold me to it, but like example, if somebody's kid asked me a question and their parents, I don't even know if this happened, or maybe I was just telling this to someone as an example. I don't remember. I kind of think I told this to someone as an example. But if some kid came to me and they asked me a bunch of stuff for help, if I knew their parents were godly and were in the church and all that stuff, why would I give them a bunch of counsel? I would say, you know what? Your mom and dad know you. You need to go ask your parents and go sit with them and talk to them about the situation, because they love you, they know you, and they're in the church, and that's who should go. Because, if you talk to someone you don't know, like say you run to a pastor and you have a bunch of questions, he doesn't even know you. He's trying to pull together for an emergency situation, and he's trying to help you. But maybe there's a pastor, or maybe there's a godly member in your family that knows you, knows the situation, is a person of prayer, and they might be able to give you help. Now, I'm not saying pastors, God does give divine wisdom and stuff to them, and I think that is a really big plus to go to pastors. But I'm just sharing that with you to say that in life, where the rubber hits the road, you should go to your pastors, you should talk to, your good counsel, and get like 2 or 3 people that give you good counsel, so that you don't make mistakes. Well, like the Bible says, get 2 or 3 counsels. And I do think that, you should go to your pastors and stuff. But I'm just telling you things that have happened in life that I've seen, and to give you a little help. But like, first of all, if things go on in your life that are upsetting, that's your first place you start, is on your knees, and the Lord will help you. And you never know where that help comes from. Sometimes it might be somebody you run into the store, and they might have a whole bunch of words of wisdom, and you don't even know them, and you never see them again. It's like, that was unique. So I hope that was helpful. I hope this was a blessing to you, and I do want to because I want to kind of backtrack because I want to make sure you're understanding what I'm saying. Pastors, teachers, godly people in the church are gifts to us. We should be in church because that's why the Lord gave us those people, was to help us to grow in our faith. You can't necessarily make it by yourself. Some people can't go to church, like right now in my situation, but I have a strong support system around me of people that are godly and are there for me, that can help me and pray through, that are experienced and seasoned and have been in the faith for years and years and years. So, like on a daily basis, I can call any of them up anytime if I have a question. Obviously, I wouldn't want to be calling my pastor every day because, so, you got to walk in wisdom with what you're doing. So anyway, that being said, I hope this was a blessing to you. I hope this helped you. And remember, big or small, you too can be a backyard farm. Please do me a favor and share this video with a friend on your Facebook, Twitter, wherever. If you feel led of the Lord to send me a Bible, stickers, anything that will help in this project of making Bibles for others, you can email me at populbackyardfarm@gmail.com. And better yet, if you might want to do this yourself, make Bibles for the people that are left behind after the rapture happens, and even hand them out before in case somebody gets saved or starts doing the same thing, because it will be a silent witness after everybody is raptured to have the Bibles we leave behind. And you can study them and leave them on your own shelf with a note. In fact, you don't have to give them all away. Just as the Lord leads, that's one thing you can do. And for free Bibles, you can go to the Rescue Mission and Salvation Army and just look around and even ask your church and stuff, because, hey, Lord told me, I felt like the Lord told me, I'll say it like this. I felt like the Lord is telling me, ask him things. And so, if somebody does feel led, but that's only if you feel led, because God provides and takes good care of me. So anyway, with that, remember, like I said before, big or small, you too can be a backyard farm. God bless.